but it was written in 2011, and I presented in Macau, University of Macau, where the fraternity of Kakujase, computer-aided qualitative data analysis software, we have our yearly trip together. There is a paper on looking rigor in doing qual research. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all the loyal in qual research, especially WWS. And this is our fifth series, in the WWS, and many think that issues pertaining validity and reliability were not given important aspect, but some of us here might think about the trustworthiness in coping qual research. So, of course, welcome everyone. Thank you for sharing experience in conducting quality research. I would first, together, we recite Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, welcome again, colleagues from UMK especially, and of course members from other parts of Malaysia. We are still in the lockdown. I'm not sure when this will end, and hopefully we pray hard everything will go well. And I know some of you were not local. I saw the name of Anthony Barubui. Anthony?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Did you ever join the previous series?
Yeah, I got,
Okay. Are you Sabahan, Anthony?
Yeah, Sabahan.
Sabahan. Sedap nama, Barubui.
Yeah.
Orang apa ni? Barubui ni apa? Apa?
Dusun.
So you station in Kota Kinabalu. Oh, I see. Alright. Okay. Thank you for joining. I recognize your name because it's quite unique. Barubui. Did I pronounce it? Did I pronounce it properly? Barubui.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Barubui.
It's a family name, is it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. See. Okay. This is what qualitative researcher is, sometimes it's just like that, kita macam kepo sikit, but this is where you have to have sharp mind, sharp eyes, and observant, and something like how do you capture data from your setting, Okay, today I will share something which is very pertinent, very important in data collection, and the issues of validity and reliability actually were not given much care, but this has relation to how we ensure trustworthiness, credentiality of conducting qual research. And if you are a student, ensure that this part should be written after you have written the subsections of the procedure in data collection, procedure in data analysis, because that comes to and forth, and you have to insert how do you contextualize or how do you localize issues pertaining to validity and reliability while conducting your research. Of course, in quant, it will be more explicit, whereby you need to have reliability from your pilot tests. So you need to discuss before you able to further your instrument or your survey while you conduct your research instrument. Yeah. But in the perspective of qual research, yeah, the issues of validity and reliability is actually it goes along when you did your research or your data collection, and of course there are some issues pertaining into the differences between validity and reliability. Dalam bahasa Melayu, validity ialah kesahan, bukan keesahan. Keesahan, patutnya sah tu satu suku kata kan. So sah bila dia dapat imbuhan awal dan akhir, dia akan kata keesahan. Dan reliability, kalau saya belajar daripada rakan-rakan dari UKM, disebut sebagai andal, bukan handal, bukan terror, andal, ANDL, andal, keandalan atau kebolehpercayaan. Lalu kita gunakan dalam research ialah kebolehpercayaan. Jadi the two issues atau element dalam conducting qual research, this is very important. And of course, as novices or students who are going to present your report or your writing, this should be insert in your chapter 3 or under your chapter methodology. Yeah. Next, okay. All right. Theoretical perspective. Is it a little bit kecil? Is it kecil? Can you all see it?
Okay, Prof.
Better, Prof.
Okay, all right. Right. Theoretical perspective, I remind, I would like to show it once again from my first presentation. There are different school of thought. Yeah. We might be in the position of positivists, or maybe we are the interpretive, or maybe we are either postmodern or critical perspective mindset. But the two angles that I have already regrouped from 4 perspectives, what is actually from their lens. The reality from the positivist perspective, the objectivity, the validity and reliability for them is very objective. For interpretive, multiple constructed, and critical usually situated in situ in political perspective, and postmodern will be question on all assumptions. So postmodern ni macam kalau kita buat grounded theory dan sebagainya. Why? Why? The purpose, the objective. Under positivist, they always do some prediction, but it's controllable. Under interpretive, this is common for us social sciences especially. It's very common. Doing qual research is more like you wanted to explore, you wanted to understand, you wanted to seek for, or you wanted to unveil, so that you're able to give more knowledge about the situation or the perspective on the natural setting that you have already obtained. But in critical, usually is in situ in political perspective, or in feminism. Feminism, they emancipate ataupun dia memperjuangkan or empower dia punya thought, usually from the perspective of feminism theory, so or the perspective of political science, politicals and so forth. They wanted to bring their thoughts, but that's why we remember in social learning theory, in learning theory, there are 4 main classic theory: behaviorist, cognitive, humanistic, and social learning theory. why there are mid-range theory? Because these people who come from critical fraternity, the critiques about this classic theory, for example, cognitive science theory, from cognitive science theory come up during the mid-range era, Vygotsky, who came out with constructivism theory. Yeah? But you think constructivism theory stays or sustains? No. There are critical society, critical fraternity who critiques on constructivism, which has some relation to cognitive science theory by Piaget, and it come up with micro theory, and some micro theory that I have discovered, like brain-based learning theory, who talks about brain learning. Yeah? So these are the fraternity of critical society who critiques, who want to emancipate, who want to empower, that they have their own perspective in doing their thinking. For example, in Malaysia, in our situation of pandemic today, especially talking about ivermectin, maybe there are pros and cons. Those who are those are critical about having ivermectin to secure from getting attack from the virus. They found out that these are very important. So, a minute. Sorry. Right. And postmodern society or circle, they always look at about how to deconstruct, and they find that issues is always a problem, something that the problematic that can be solved. Yeah. So these are the theoretical perspective from four, which I regroup, but there are a lot actually. Yeah, there are a lot, but these are common in doing research among social sciences and humanities. Okay, I would like to recap. In designing your qualitative research, you have to put along this framework: problem, methodology, techniques that are being used, your finding, and of course your discussion. When we talk about conducting research, it's more like looking for answers actually. Do you find it, Prof. Raja? Do you think that is a common practices, Prof. Raja? Prof. Raja? Are you all still there? Are you all still with me?
Yeah, bro.
Yes, Prof, we are with you.
Yeah. I was asking.
Pointing.
Yeah. Oh, that one
Congrats.
credit. This one you must credit Haja. Do you agree if I sort of put a frame of mind that designing a research is something, especially for research, is actually under this umbrella will be a problem? The methodology, your findings, and of course, you won't waste what you have gotten. So you have to discuss critically on the outcome from your study. This is something that frame of mind that you must always have. You might present it with some other terminology or with other wording, but this is actually the overall design of running or conducting research. So the problem usually, is it appropriate selecting for research for your study? What actually that you want from your research? You have gotten a big grant, for example. Yeah? What do you want to see actually? You want to find meaning? Yeah? You wanted to understand, and how do you conduct so that the processes that undergoing throughout the study would be impactful, would be giving you some new answers or an insight. Yeah. And of course, conducting research, you need to to ensure the best methodology so that during your data collections and analysis, it should be always aligned to your research objective. Yeah, and of course, finding should be adequate. Yeah, your data should be adequate to be presented to show that this is my data. This is the data that I've already collected. Would able me to give new knowledge or new answers to the problem that arise. Yeah, and the important part is the discussion. There will be no research without discussion. Discussion is the important part where you should critically criticize the data or the report that you have gotten. Because for me, the epistemology of new knowledge or the body of knowledge will arise from your new findings. Epistemology is a Latin word which is logi, ilmu, and epistome, iaitu ilmu berkaitan dengan tubuh ilmu itu. Epistemology of what they research should be clear. For example, like now we wish to study about post MCO ataupun post MCO or post COVID. Yeah, in between your discipline, yeah, what would you research on? Yeah, my perspective I would like to see the sociological impact to the society. Yeah, especially on education. Or maybe those researcher who comes from cultural, social, political, social economics, or any discipline that you came from, you should be able to think about how best your research would add on to the epistemology of what you have been researched. This is very important. So the overall design of qualitative research is more like Winsum, but there are something that we mustn't miss. Yeah, we mustn't miss when we conduct our research. It is a challenging actually when conducting Qual research. You need to bear that doing it. Is it you able to receive or welcome audience or your reader, whether your reader, your audience trust what you have gotten. Yeah, that this part is very important. Kepercayaan. Yeah. So what can you possibly tell them? Yeah, what is it worth just to get one person story? Yeah, or interpretation. Yeah, can be shared to others. Yeah, there are many research, yeah, where they are very purposely sampling that taking only one person or one respondent or one informant, and how would that be considered as giving that research as something that can change or giving additional knowledge to that particular issues. Yeah, and then how can we learn from a small purposive sampling? That is another issues. And of course, we are the primary instrument. We are the instrument because we are learning from the experts. How can we be sure that our data is valid? And how are we sure the methodology or technique of data collection is reliable? So this is a question that need to be answered. Yeah? So of course, focusing on that, I will zero in a very important question. The key question is that how congruent are one's finding with reality? Yeah, because I wish to readdress the word verisimilitude. Yeah? VERISIMI, very similarly, LITUDE. How near the report that you have gotten from your respondent or informant that able to give new knowledge to your reader. Yeah, and how near would your report to the original respondent, original setting that you have discovered. That is very important. And of course, in qualitative research, we would forward the word reality. Yeah. I have gotten few principles from various scholars. Yeah, which I always refer to, uh, like Merriam, yeah, like Walcott, Crashwell, yeah, Roseman. Yeah, these are scholars who put forward the trustworthiness of your data, and people will always came out, oh, triangulation. What is triangulation in qualitative research? Yeah? Triangulate from different technique, one way. Yeah, you have three important major technique, which are interviews, or could be FGD, FGI, or person-to-person interview. Yeah, and of course, in this situation, you are having online interview. Okay, that's one. And of course, you triangulate your data with maybe observation, either non-participant observation or full participation observer. Yeah, and you could add on to triangulate your data with document. Yeah, you would able to do analysis on the document, for example. So that is one way. Triangulation could also capture from different enumerator. Let's say we only does FGI, FGD, for example, but we have several groups of enumerators. Yeah? So we can able to triangulate our finding from various researcher. That would also work. Or triangulation could also be different setting, but different set. Like, for example, one case, multiple, one case, one site, single site. It's so easy. So you use different technique. But there can also be one single case, multi sites. Yeah? You have different sites of your setting that you need to understand. Then you could also multi-case, different cases, and multi-site. Yeah? So this is very important for you to ensure triangulation takes place. Okay, this is very, very important for you to ensure triangulations are one of the major principles suggested by the qualitative research scholar. Member check. Oh, many of us maybe does not practice checking by own self. Yeah, meaning to say, this is something like you able to. There are some similarity within member checks and or peer or colleague examination. Yeah? So member check is more like you give back your notes or your data that you have already collected, and before you move to another stage of further clarification, you need to send back what you have written from your interviews or observation back to your respondent. One way. Yeah. And peer or colleague examination is more like internal reviewing board. Yeah. For example, you have supervisor or you have sets of enumerators. So you would have to come back after you have done your groundwork or your fieldwork and come back, and the discussion to come out with one maybe solution, one categories or one answer. So this is very important. As an instrument who holds a theoretical or conceptual framework that will actually let us into non-judgmental person. Non-judgmental person. This is very important. Why I said it's non-judgmental researcher, because there are tendency, kita human kan, we are tendency that we might choose what we want rather than giving the actual information. So do practice and be fair to your respondent that data that you are going to report should actually mirror the reality. That's why we call it as non-judgmental researcher, or what we call as researchers' experiences or assumption, but I would like to put as non-judgmental presentation, non-judgmental reporting. Long-term engagement or prolonged engagement is very important because they are there. You able to capture the pattern, polar. Yeah, if you go once, you might not get the actual data, or the building of rapport between you and your respondent or informant has not been cohesive. Yeah, cohesive maknanya kalau dalam bahasa Melayu dia kata jelekit. Cohesive maknanya your respondent has full trust and able to give the originality of what is being practiced in the setting. So if you go once, there will be probably the unfinished business of your respondent could not be explicitly shared. That is very important. Yeah. So these are the internal validity that you have to be ensured to take part. To be taken part. Okay. And reliability. Most likely, the nearest I could the term that are very near to reliability is consistency. Yeah. Or dependability. I will put as consistency. How consistent is your data that you have gotten at the fieldwork? How consistent? Yeah. Kalau research question kita derail, or we did not get the correct research objective, research question, correct protocols during your ground fieldwork, you might get your data that will be not consistent, inconsistent. So it is very important to ensure reliability. Consistency is being put very important. Yeah. So what are the key questions into getting reliability in conducting your research? One, to what extent will one's finding be found again? Maknanya, kalau data tu reliable and able to be portraying the reality, yeah, it means that you have captured the consistency of the situation. Tapi hari ni you pergi tempat tu and the next day you found out different things happen, for example. So it will be questionable. Yeah. So to what extent of your finding when you revisit will it be similar? Yeah. For example, you have read or your previous research on one area or one issues pertaining to maybe orang asli, anak-anak orang asli, macam mana dia belajar? How does the native school children who stays in remote area going through the process of learning. Yeah. So your report shows that a thick and rich report of your previous report shows the pattern of native children who undergoing learning. So you got in the report. So when you do revisit, well, it has shown similarity. Yeah. Of course, there are few new emerging data that you able to capture, but the similarity or the originality of your data should be sustained. This is very important. That's why in qualitative research, we really emphasize on consistency. Yeah, this is very important. And to ensure reliability, you see that I use again the word triangulation of reliability. To see consistency, you could get data from different sources, iaitu multi-sources, multi-techniques. Maknanya dapat data from different numerator yang dah discussed or different techniques that you have addressed. And of course, we should practice our positions as non-researcher. Yeah, there's no such thing of a researcher who did not put forward your unbiasedness. Yeah, and of course, I will put audit trail will be number 3 instead of peer review, because audit questions, how do you conduct your research if your research has taken once only? So, meaning to say you did not have the piece of originality of your data. If you practice trailing, or dalam bahasa Melayu disebut sebagai menjejaki peristiwa. For example, research, when you conduct fieldwork, you should do your reviewing. Remember, when we did last trip presentation, there should be always an observation or your interview. There should also reflection or memorial or journal writing that you have done regularly, consistently. So from there, you're able to trace back, if you have done the audit trail properly. So audit trailing meaning that you have followed the procedures in getting the issues right. Yeah, and of course, peer review is much more like having colleagues, having counter parts or reviewing board who able to discuss upon data that we have gathered. So this is very important. So tadi validity, and then now reliability. There is another issues on giving the sound knowledge of what we have gotten, as we call, or we label it as external validity, whereby we're able to give an interpretations of what we have gathered. The quick question into getting external validity is, again, to what extent can our data can be replicated? Yeah, to what extent your data that you've gotten at A place or A institutions or A person or an informant, that data which has undergoing all the principles of validity and reliability can be replicated. Either you will do your next research, or someone read your findings, someone read the methodology that you have used, can be replicated to other sets of organization or sets of participants that you wanted to study. So replicating can be done. Yeah, meaning to say you can use similar methodology, yeah, criteria of your respondent, similar criteria, but you can replicate into other organizations. So we wanted to see the replicability of data can be used in other situations and or in other settings. Yeah? And of course, we have to stone ourselves. We have to be we have to ensure data from qualitative finding should go into depth. Yeah, voluminous, yeah, voluminous, like I said last week, laborious, yeah, not looking at a generality or not looking at broad, but more in depth, yeah, to understand. Yeah? For example, yeah, understanding victim of COVID-19, the post-COVID uh, um, pesakit, who have undergoing that maybe. So you need to understand then looking as much many people, but you can have one respondent or two respondents who have some background or criteria that you're able to learn from the experience. Okay, the external validity have few principles. Again, the data that the reporting that presented at the setting, meaning that I still pick the word tick description, meaning to say you reader or your audience able to look into the data, that the report that you present should be really portray or really present the originality of the situation. Okay, and of course, rich and thick description is one major principles to ensure external validity. Maximum variation. Okay, this should be also be edited as a University of Entrepreneurship. The ecosystem of entrepreneurial, being practiced. So, especially
Hello, Prof?
um, the chore today, you have to store okay, to gain your trustworthiness. Yeah, I would like also to share, if you could see the secretariat. Yeah, have you put the worksheet or not? Hajar, have you put the worksheet on tentang flowchart tu? Hajar, you all still with me or not?
Yeah, Prof.
Yeah. Okay. Before, meanwhile, waiting for Hajar. Okay, Hajar has put the link there. Okay, thank you, Hajar. You all should copy the link. Copy the link ni berkaitan dengan flowchart. Dia ada kaitan dengan what I have shared today actually. So, looking at validity and reliability of data from qualitative research, you should see the whole entire of conducting qual research. That is one way of doing it. Okay, anyone would like to raise any question or your experience maybe? If you could share your experience, how did you prioritize issues pertaining validity and reliability? Anyone would like to share your experience here? Anyone? Dr. Azwin, would you like to share?
Experience buat betul-betul tu memang tak ada lah Prof. Ni pun macam learning lah, tapi itulah experience, nak kata experience tu tak, tapi nak cakap lepas ni bila going to the field, yelah nak buat benda-benda yang macam Prof list out pasal reliability dengan validity, especially part yang macam saya interested sangat tadi ialah kesahan, iaitu maybe tunjukkan semula apa ni yang kita catat atau tulis tu kepada responden tu balik, meaning takut kita tersalah tafsir apa yang dia cakap, benda macam tu lah Prof.
Oh ya,
kalau
sangat penting Dr. Azwin. Numbers that I evaluate untuk report is either from thesis or from journal review, article review. I found that it has not been prioritized, and as assessor, I always have my eagerness, or I always have inquiry, how does this data arrive? But that's why I agree with you. Kesahan dan boleh percayaan data itu is very important to be put into your reporting, because you should give your reader or your audience the enjoying of reading your report, or your story. So when they convince that data can be trusted, so the question would not arise. So something like that, especially ini memang penting lah. Cuma saya nak tanya Dr. Azwin and the rest, kalau you dapat you punya responden tu tak boleh baca buta huruf, macam mana Dr. Azwin?
Buta huruf tak ada baca, kita bacakan lah kot Prof.
Kita kena baca. So bila kita baca, dia akan agree or disagree, and then you boleh kata you boleh tak saya record, tu kena dapat consent dia orang lah, ataupun kita dapat responden kita tuna lihat, tuna lihat atau tuna dengar, kita tak sebut buta atau pekak, kita kata tuna means disable lah, okay. Atau orang yang illiterate, illiterate, contohnya Azwin nak buat kajian pada makcik-makcik yang dijual di pasar tu, dia tak sekolah tapi dia boleh berniaga, betul tak? Dia boleh kira, dia mungkin tak tahu menulis, tetapi everything is in their brain, everything is their mind. So when you give back your pages and pages of your data or your report, they ain't able to read or give response. So you have to read to them. Ya, itu satu cara lah ya. Itu satu yang sangat penting. Kemudian triangulation I've written, and then minggu depan kita tak ada minggu depan sebab PKP akan we are going to organize kursus asas pengajaran pembelajaran pada minggu depan 8 hari. So reschedule of our next my next meet with you all, data display and reporting of how you ensure your data has utilized triangulation technique. Ya, maknanya kita boleh display data dalam satu matrix daripada beberapa responden menggunakan beberapa teknik. So I will show the examples of that. So with one matrix, we're able to put the triangulation matrices. Itu boleh digunakan, and you can able after that you able from the matrix you able to interpret the data being triangulated. Okay. Again, take rich information. Macam saya duk cerita dulu, siapa Gertz yang buat kajian di mana di Bali so memang very rich and thick and then of course most of our kajian macam last week Prof Khadijah who shared our kajian yang merangkumi 5,700 something if I could remember memang satu kajian luas, tapi kita ada ramai enumerator, dan enumerator ni memang setiap hari atau setiap kali perjumpaan kita akan enumerate so that kita tidak ada kebocoran atau kecairan data. That is very important. Kemudian selain itu yang saya juga tekankan ialah maximum variation. Maximum variation bermakna data can come from one single set tetapi rich and thick so that you can able to replicate to others. What else? Ada soalan tak? Ke faham semua ni? So you have to find your internal validity, external validity that can be transferability, and from there when you do the transferability of your data, meaning to say you are safe. Then of course data that you report concerning your particular respondent or informant adalah sahih, then there will be no question after that because it was done in a proper manner. Bukan you just go and observe, then you write for them, then your own assumption or your own interpretation, then you come up with report. No, that's why a qualitative researcher actually they really practice ethics. They really practice ethics, and jarang I must say Prof Zana, if you can help me to there we are always stand on ethics because whatever report is always facts and what we saw, what we observe, what we obtain from the original sources. That is very important. Before I leave, any question? Any question, everyone? Bintang?
Yeah, Prof. Very interesting.
Okay.
I always
Masa
enjoy.
Bintang buat PhD pakai Qual atau Qual?
Saya dipaksa untuk membuat mixed method, Prof. Tapi sebenarnya tendensi saya adalah qualitative. So at that time I was working very hard to study quantitative.
Tak apa. That one pace Bintang pace. I want to see Aisyah Abol, you are there? Aisyah? Ni long time student Aisyah Abol, did you join me? Ada tak Aisyah? Tak ada. Refa? Ifa? Semua? Ada soalan tak?
Ya, ada.
Ada, Prof.
Ada? Nak soal? Tak ada. Okay, maybe Ifa dah biasa dengan saya. Okay, Refa? Okay, so at least your
soalan. Kat chatting ada soalan.
Bacakan. Okay, baca Azwin.
Soalan dari Encik Muhammad bin Mahmud, pasal triangulation adakah bermaksud kena guna more than one approach? Contoh guna FGD dan guna juga face to face interview.
Okay, both are interviews, right? So you are the FGD, then you are the interviews. Depending how strong both this teknik bukan approach approach ni ialah sama ada menggunakan quali atau quanti. The design. Tapi dalam konteks saya lebih suka guna teknik sebab teknik membuat, teknik membuat pemerhatian, teknik menggunakan dokumen So saya lebih gunakan teknik in my case lah sebab saya dah baca banyak. So my labeling for getting data in data collection will be techniques So itu boleh digunakan Cik Mat, boleh, tetapi adalah lebih baik jika you diversify, not only interview, maybe you can have the document for you to support your interviews data. That will be also another way of doing triangulation. Good question lain? Refa, so your third chapter will be completed lah this week So I expect your third chapter will be soon arrive in my email next week or another 2 weeks Refa? Boleh Refa? Refa?
Yes, Prof.
Boleh, okay. Sebab Refa di Padang sana, jauh sana so kena seberang laut. Laut Cina Selatan. Laut Cina Selatan, Selat Melaka, Okay. No, any more question? Win? Tepi tu Win?
Tak ada Prof.
Okay.
InsyaAllah tak ada.
Alright. Okay, I think that's all for today. Please apologize if the internet is not well delivered, and of course I could discuss very lengthy, but these 10 slides, about 12 slides, very focused. I could write pages of pages on validity and reliability. In fact, you all when there is any conference on methodology or research or in your area, put forward you punya paper on trustworthiness, transferability, validity and reliability. There will be one paper and people enjoy reading your paper actually. I'm very sure many people outside there wanted to learn how this concern, how these issues can be a concern. Macam saya pernah bentang di Barcelona, is everyone talk about issues of trustworthiness. Imagine we flew to Barcelona just to talk about trustworthiness in data collection, data presentation. Very interesting, and everyone has their own school of thought. But finally, back to the basic that the triangulation, the take and reach nurse, audit trail, kemudian debriefing, peer check, dan sebagainya itu merupakan non-judgmental positions of you as a researcher itu memang common. So almost scholars have suggested that there are these few elements or principle that we need to follow. We need to contextualize when you write your part in trustworthiness subsection. So do not forget, this is a very important to convince your reader, to convince your examiner, to convince your supervisor that you have done your research correctly, properly manner, and also you have deliberately carried out your duty as an ethical researcher. If there is no question, I would like to say thank you, and please apologize me for any hiccups or for any slip of words and so forth. Okay, see you next 2 weeks. Next 2 weeks, and goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Kita sudahi dengan surah Al-As dan surah Al-Farah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal asri innal insana lafi khusr illa allazina amanu wa amilus solihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi. Amin everyone.